Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Monday edition of Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network. Check out the Edgework YouTube. Around the table, Andrew Walker. You can find my stuff at the Hedge Pod up in Canada. Joe from Joe Madden Sports, Alex Smith, and Zack Phillips around the horn. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing
doing
great.
pretty good.
Yeah. Turkey hangover, Alex, or you're over it still?
Well, it wasn't a turkey. I didn't do turkey this year. I did kind of a seafood platter thing, but yeah, definitely ate a lot of it, and so definitely feeling it. Might have to try to work out a little bit this week and shed some of the pounds over the weekend for sure.
Yeah. Well, other than all that napping, what was your big weekend takeaway from? Obviously it was a quiet Thursday in the NHL, but a load of game on Friday. Pretty heavy skid yesterday. What were you watching, Alex?
I mean, just watching these leads get blown. St. Louis and Florida on Saturday, I think, was the shocking game, and I got lucky with that. I had to draw plus 390. I see Thomas Greiss give up 2 soft goals in the first period. I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty much done. And before you know it, flip back, it's 4-2 Blues, and then they come right back and finally get the win in OT. So was really happy to cash that big of a price with the regulation draw, but just shocking to see these teams blowing leads. We saw the same thing with New York doing that again against Edmonton, and it's just, we're getting to that point now. This is that marker where, teams that are going to be playoff teams, was it 67% of the time over the last 10 years? If you're in the playoff race right now, you're going to be a team that makes it in the postseason in April. So it's definitely crunch time for a lot of teams right now.
Yeah. Joe, what was your weekend takeaway? And I know in addition to that, if you want to weigh in, it's all across Alberta right now. The Oilers and the Flames been a little tepid. I think the Oilers are just in a playoff spot and the Flames are just on the outside looking in. I kind of tend to think that both these teams will find, their balance. I think they'll be okay, but is there any concern in Alberta for you?
Yeah, there is so much concern right now. Calgary just not able to get these wins. We look at how the specific division is doing. Who would have thought the Kraken would be sitting second in the division? That was my takeaway from this weekend. This team is really finding a way to win. They were able to get that nice win and a big win over the Vegas Golden Knights, who we know are sitting number 1 in the Pacific. This team is digging hard and not giving up, and I love what they're doing defensively as well. I also want to say hats off to Jack Hughes getting his first hat trick. He got that over Washington for the New Jersey Devils. He's absolutely a phenomenal player out there. And you guys have to look at him because the books are still giving so much value for that anytime goal for him. So he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, you're right on the Kraken. They're 13-5-3. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10. And they're scoring goals doing it. I'll tell you what, a quarter of the season through, Zach, I didn't necessarily expect Seattle to be where they are. That's a big story.
No, and especially if you're looking at it there, like the goalie that's been doing it for them, it's not the guy that they paid all the money to. It's been Martin Jones. He's been the guy who's been the stud in net. And Martin Jones has definitely cost a lot of people some money over the past few years, and he was a big part of the problem. He's not the only problem, but he was a big part of the problem in San Jose, where that with them struggling, like you see them go and get Erik Karlsson. They think, hey, maybe we're going to have an opportunity here. And then all of a sudden it's like, can't get goaltending, can't basically just put together wins. And now he goes over to Seattle and he's been a stud. And even on top of that, Grubauer still hasn't been great in Seattle. So it's like they're still managing to win games. And then you're talking about them scoring. They started the year a little bit slow with the scoring. Like they didn't come out the gate pumping pucks in the back of the net at a rapid rate, and now all of a sudden it's turned around where they've been able to get it done. So it's been impressive from what we're seeing out of them. Like, they're 6th in the NHL right now. 6th.
No.
Mind blowing.
And
really.
I think I think the flip side with Martin Jones is that, at least for me personally, I was making a ton of money off of him being bad in San Jose and in
Yeah, that's
Philadelphia,
fair.
and now I've had to kind of like turn things around where now, okay, he's actually pretty good now. I got to look to back Seattle. So I think a lot of us at the beginning seeing him playing well was kind of a downturn from, he was almost an auto fade for Philly at parts at times when he was there. So it's interesting to see that he has really kind of emerged and playing, some of the best hockey of his career.
Well, and it's not probably great value anymore, but I still think you can get him at least plus 250. Matty Beniers for the Calder. I know Logan Thompson has had a really nice start in Vegas. Shane Pinto came out of the gates with a ton of goals, but man, the way that Matty Beniers is playing right now in Seattle, barring an injury, this guy's going to run away with the rookie points lead. So I'm late to it, but I'd still like to get in on that Calder chase, much like Moritz Seider last year.
Yeah, and on top of that, though, you're talking about Logan Thompson being in that race. The last goalie to win the Calder was Steve Mason. So, like, it's not something that happens very often for a goaltender to win that award. So, I mean, even that could go into the handicap of, like, you got to bank on what the voters are going to look at here. Logan Thompson, he is surrounded by a pretty good team in front of him, and I mean, his coach is in the running for the Jack Adams. So a lot of times those can go hand in hand, where if one's not going to be the case with the Vezina or a Calder Trophy or something like that, it might go another way. I don't necessarily think that Logan Thompson might pull it out just because of how rare it is for the goalie to win that trophy, but it is worth a look, that's for sure.
Zach, what was your weekend takeaway, Zach? Sorry, go ahead, Alex. If you want.
No, I was just going to tag on quickly with what you said about Logan Thompson. I think where Vegas finishes out is going to be the barometer too, because like you said, with him possibly being a Vezina candidate as well as a Calder candidate, you kind of see if he ends up being a finalist for both of those, you might think, okay, well, he may not have enough to win the Vezina. Could that possibly boost his chance of winning the Calder?
Yeah,
Zach,
that's true.
Your Leafs are playing as good as they have all year. Big win over Pittsburgh on Saturday night. I don't know if that's part of your takeaway, but your thoughts on that club and what were you watching this weekend?
So first, my biggest takeaway, aside from the Leafs, I didn't want to just come on here and go homer on the Leafs on it, but it's Jason Robertson is an elite NHL player, and I think he will be for a long time. I just wanted to quickly throw that out there. Like, this guy, 18 goals, 17 assists through the first 22 games of the season. He is incredible. I think Jason Robertson will continue to be incredible. But as far as the Leafs go, it's been wild to watch them play, because you're looking at a team that has now lost Morgan Rielly, Jordy Ben, Jake Muzzin, TJ Brody, Rasmus Sandin got injured partway through the game the other night, and you're going, well, like, there goes 5 of 6 defensemen. Sandin luckily able to come back, but they've managed to do so much of this and have so much of the success based on a full team buy-in. So a lot of people are complaining or worried about Matthews hasn't been as dominant as he's been, and you're not able to get all the production out of him like you saw last year, where he went on that run of 50 goals in 50 games. But it's like, even he is going out there and hitting guys, blocking shots, buying into a team game, and you're starting to see that filter through the rest of the team. I don't know the mental state of this team when it gets important, because we've seen it just basically dwindle away in the past. But for this time being, they seem to have bought in and playing a all-around solid, I mean, as generic as it is, like, hockey game. Like, they're just playing a good hockey game.
Yeah, they've been really solid. There's no doubt. And I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for Leaf fans, because it is hard to enjoy it, right? Because they have runs every year where they look unbelievable, and we all know that they could finish first, they could finish fourth. It doesn't matter. Can they rise to the challenge in the first round? And it's inevitably probably going to be that Boston Tampa Bay matchup anyway. So it sucks.
They
right?
could go 82-0, and
yeah,
Matthews could score 80 goals, and I would still sit here and be like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
I remember years ago, I can't remember who the journalist was, but they called it the misery of the entitled. It's kind of like, when the Atlanta Braves won 19 straight division titles or whatever, like people didn't even care about playoff tickets really, because it was just that everyone knew what was going to happen every year. And that's kind of where the Leafs are when it comes to the first round, the misery of the entitled. My weekend takeaway, and Joe, we heard you about the Oilers and the Flames. I wonder what you think about the Canucks. I was watching the Vancouver Canucks. They play very high event hockey, but right now under Bruce Boudreau, they kind of figured out a bit of a winning streak, albeit not against the greatest teams, although they look really good in Vegas the other night. Are you buying what the Canucks are selling right now, even after their embarrassing, dreadful start to the season?
No, I'm really not buying what they're selling at the moment. So they beat Vegas. They actually play phenomenally well against Vegas. We see this game in and game out. They won on their home ice versus Vegas, I believe, as well. So this is a team that they just have their number. I'm not buying what I'm seeing out of them. I think their defense and their goaltending issues are still front and center, the problem of this team. And until they can start turning that around more so than they have been, I'm not going to believe in them.
Overtime win over the Sharks last night, and yeah, same. I'm quite skeptical. I think Canuck fans are too. We saw them get off to a dreadful start last year. They had a great second half under Bruce Boudreau, and it was just enough to finish just out of the playoffs. And I think, you heard people kind of close to that team, people that covered the team, that once they started, whatever it was, 2-9, they said, the worst part about this is just wait. They got to run in them. Of course they do. They're too talented to tank for Connor Bedard. They're going to rack off wins just enough to be on the precipice of the playoffs. But yeah, I thought from the beginning that Connor Bedard talk in Vancouver might be a little silly.
Yeah, and what's interesting too with Vancouver is that they're kind of almost like Edmonton. They've got a little bit of, I wouldn't say a full-on goalie controversy, but Spencer Martin has been lights out. Where Jack Demko, he seems to be kind of warned, and you wonder, with Demko, he's one of those goalies, kind of like a Connor Hellebuck, John Gibson, where he's logged in so many minutes and had to be that top tier workhorse. You wonder if he's starting to get a little bit worn down, but Spencer Martin, winning 6 of his last 7 starts, he's been a formidable backup, and that's what's kind of been keeping Vancouver afloat.
Fun to hit the overs, though. Like we said, high event hockey still with teams like Vancouver and teams like Anaheim and San Jose. All right, let's get around for our best bets tonight. 6 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. We'll start with you, Joe. Do you have a player prop you like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the matchup between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, we know the Panthers are getting these shots on goal and scoring these goals, averaging that 3.43. I'm going to look at Matthew Tkachuk here for an anytime goal at plus 158. I love the value on him. We know he used to play with the Calgary Flames. While he's no longer part of this Battle of Alberta, he plays the Edmonton Oilers so hard. I think he comes out, gets that goal today, and you can look at his shots on goal too. If you're a little concerned with that anytime goal, it is juiced at minus 130, but it's over 3.5. We look at him, he's just been rolling so hot. He wasn't able to get a goal against the St. Louis Blues, but in those last 4 or 5 games, I believe before, he got a goal in every single one of them. He's just been dominating, getting those shots on goal, 85 shots on goal so far this season and 9 goals. So take Matthew Tkachuk, anytime goal, plus 158, and shots on goal over 3.5 at minus 130 if you're worried.
Matthew Tkachuk having a great year. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm looking at Jamie Benn. He's had a phenomenal year so far, and this is a guy for the last couple of years, kind of getting older. You haven't been able to find him with a telescope from an offensive standpoint. He's already got 10 goals. That's something that's big. Like I said, you can talk about Jason Robertson and some of the other guys on that Dallas Stars squad. I think this is a really good team that's still a bit undervalued in the market. But you can get Ben anytime goal score around plus 300, plus 305 if you shop around. This is a guy who's had 3 goals and 4 assists in his last 4 games, starting to light the lamp. So I'm going to back Jamie Benn to get a goal here tonight against St. Louis.
Alex, what do you like? Or sorry, Zach, what do you like?
I'm looking at Steven Stamkos over 3.5 shots on goal. I'm seeing at plus 135 right now. He's gone over the number of 3.5 for 12 out of 20 games. And a lot of this, with me doing this, has to do with the fact that, it's a smaller sample size, 20 games in the grand scheme of things, but he's hitting it at 60% clip. The odds here reflecting a 40% 40% clip. So I'm going to take that. And then taking into account the Sabres are 32nd in shots on goal allowed. This team gives up a high volume of shots on goal. I think Tampa is in a position here, like they are absolutely rolling. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. I think they keep it up here tonight against the Sabres. And I think with that is going to come on onslaught of shots. I think Stamkos is going to be heavily involved in that. And at a big plus money, I'm going to grab that.
I'm looking at the Leafs-Red Wings game tonight. Generally speaking, when these two teams get together, I feel like we got high-scoring games. I know last year there was that crazy, 9-7 game when the Red Wings and the Leafs got together. Leafs been playing some pretty sound defensive, like you said, team-first hockey. But one guy that is still getting his points is Mitch Marner. He's on an absolute heater. A Mitch Marner multi-point effort tonight is plus 129. So I think I'm on him. I really like Joe's Kachuk call, and I'll add another one to this game too. In terms of young players being streaky and battles with confidence, an Evan Bouchard anytime goal tonight, guys, is plus 510, and he just scored twice in New York, so he's finally feeling it. This guy's been a big story at Edmonton for, getting shots blocked or hitting the post or just being on the schneid this year. Well, he's off it now. I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy firing from everywhere again tonight. And plus 510 for a guy that shoots on the power play, I think it's pretty good. I'm all over Bouchard as a long shot tonight.
I love it. It's great value there.
All right. Favorite line or total, 6-game slate. Joe, what do you like?
Yeah, so I was looking at the Vegas Golden Knights, Columbus Blue Jackets game, trying to find some sort of value here with the Vegas Golden Knights because I think they get a dominating win in this one. I'm going to look at their team total. They have a team total of 3.5. I'm going to hit it to that over. We know they've been rolling, getting these goals. And against the Columbus Blue Jackets, whose defense has been absolutely atrocious this season, I definitely see them going over this 3.5. The Columbus Blue Jackets are allowing 4.2, which is 31st overall in the league, and 36.3 shots on goal, which is 31st overall in the league as well. Vegas will bring it tonight. They'll go over this total 3.5. They've hit 3 or more goals in 6 of their last 10 games. I'm expecting a big night out of them here tonight.
Alex, what are you looking at tonight?
Well, I mentioned that Dallas Stars team playing against St. Louis, and St. Louis was fortunate enough to come back from 3 down and get that 5-4 win against Florida. They've been a really streaky team, and we've seen them go win streak, lose streak, win streak, and they finally were able to snap a 2-game losing streak coming back on that win. But this is still, the form hasn't quite been there where Dallas, this has been a lights out team. This is a good division spot, and I think getting $1.10, like I said, this is a great value with this team right now. So I'm going to lay the $1.10 with the Dallas Stars.
All right, Zach, yours?
Yeah, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Lightning minus 1.5, the puck line against the Buffalo Sabres tonight. As I talked about with the Stamkos prop there, like this Tampa team has been rolling. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10, and they're starting to look back to normal. Vasilevsky last played on Friday, so he is expected tonight. I don't see why he wouldn't go in. Looks like Craig Anderson would be in net for the Sabres, but even if Craig Anderson is in there, he hasn't really been getting as much support from the guys up front for him. Obviously, guys like Tage Thompson is going to continue to score and put up points, but he hasn't really got it from the team as a whole. Even looking at that New Jersey game, Anderson played lights out, and they still managed to lose. It was 4-1 against the Devils there, and with the Tampa Bay Lightning rolling in here against the Sabres, I think Tampa just keeps it going. And again, like it's a crutch I've used in the last couple of weeks that we've done this, but I think if that team is up later in the game, there is that opportunity, if they're not already up by 2 or 3, for them to grab an empty net goal late. So I'm going to grab Tampa minus 1.5.
All right,
Zach, just to chip in on there, briefly, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has been confirmed to start, not Craig Anderson. I just saw that within the last 30 seconds. So there you go. I like it even better.
As mentioned, I don't know about you, Zach. I do like the Leafs team total tonight, over 3.5 goals. I could see them doing that in Detroit. But my number one bet is, as always, to fade a team coming off of a road trip. Oilers had a really nice win in New York. Obviously, they came down from 3-0 down to win in the third period against the Rangers. They are back at home tonight against the Panthers. Joe and I both have a little exposure to this game, but the Panthers straight up is minus 108. I'm going to pivot a little bit and take them in regulation at plus 143. it's just a tough spot for Edmonton coming off that East Coast road trip. It was snowing last night as they made their return to Edmonton, and Florida sitting here waiting. So I like the Panthers to win at Rogers Place tonight. All right. You can catch us every Monday, Edgework, 10:30 Eastern, 8:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 Pacific, and Edgework every weekday. And don't forget tonight, they'll get you set for the Monday Night Football game. You got the Colts and the Steelers, Rob Pizzolo, Eric Eager on prime time for Monday Night Football. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.